Hello, my dear dreamers, and welcome back to Hafee Sleep. Whether you're joining me under the blanket of a starry night, in the quiet hush of a rainy afternoon, or while stealing a moment of peace in a busy day, I'm so incredibly glad you're here. Tonight, we are embarking on a truly fascinating journey. We're going to explore a question that has captivated philosophers, scientists, and seekers for centuries. Can your thoughts actually influence your reality? We'll dive deep into the incredible science of how the words you whisper to yourself in the quiet moments don't just shape your feelings, they can physically rewire your brain, influence your body's health, and truly alter the world you experience. This is some of the most empowering knowledge you will ever come across, and I can't wait to share it all with you. Now, you are a vital part of our peaceful community here. If these explorations bring you comfort or insight, please do consider subscribing to the channel and liking this video. It truly helps us grow and bring this calm to more people. And I'm always so curious about the little world you're in right now. So, if you feel like it, please drop a comment down below and tell me two things: where in the world you're listening from, and what time it is for you. It's always wonderful to picture all of us, connected from different corners of the globe, sharing this moment of rest and discovery together. Now, find a comfortable position, let your body grow heavy, and let your mind grow curious. Let's begin. Have you ever been lying in bed, in that quiet space between sleep and waking, and a thought suddenly jolts you completely awake? Maybe it's a memory of something embarrassing you did years ago, and your body reacts as if it's happening right now. Your heart pounds, your face flushes, or perhaps it's a worry about a meeting later today, and you can feel a knot of tension forming in your shoulders. In that moment, nothing in your physical environment has changed. The room is the same, the bed is the same, but your reality has completely shifted, from peaceful to distressed, all because of a single fleeting thought. This right here is the most immediate and personal evidence that our thoughts have a profound influence on our reality. They are not just passive background noise like a radio playing in another room. They are active, powerful forces that shape how we feel, how our bodies react, and ultimately, how we navigate the world. But does this power extend beyond our inner experience? Can our thoughts actually change the world outside our own minds? The answer, as we will explore together, is a fascinating and resounding yes, though perhaps not in the way that magic wands or superhero stories would have us believe. The journey to understanding this is perhaps the most important journey we can ever take, because it reveals that we are not merely passengers in our lives, but active participants, co-creators of our own experience. The renowned psychologist and author Henry Ford once put it perfectly, and I'm paraphrasing here: whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. This isn't just a catchy motivational quote. It is a profound statement about the architecture of human achievement and suffering. So, let's pull up a chair and get comfortable. Let's unravel this mystery, piece by piece, in the simplest language possible. We are going to explore the incredible science, the psychological mechanisms, and the practical steps that explain how this works. We will see that our thoughts are the starting point of everything, the invisible seeds from which the forest of our life grows. We have this beautiful, powerful metaphor. Your mind is the artist, and your life is the canvas. But to truly appreciate the masterpiece, or to understand why it might look a little gloomy sometimes, we need to get to know the artist and its materials a little better. What exactly is this reality that's being painted? It sounds like such a solid, simple word, doesn't it? We use it all the time. Get a grip on reality. In reality, that's not how it works. But when you stop and really pull the word apart, it's not just one thing. It's a layered, complex, and deeply personal experience. At its most basic, the dictionary will tell you that reality is the state of things as they actually exist, as opposed to how they are imagined or how we might wish them to be. It's the totality of real things and events. Think of a rock, a tree, the law of gravity. These things exist and operate regardless of what we think about them. If you step off a roof, you will fall, whether you believe in gravity or not. This is what we might call objective reality, the world of facts, physics, and shared existence. It's the external stage upon which our lives play out. And for the most part, It follows a set of rules that don't care about our personal feelings. But, and this is a very big but, we never experience this objective reality directly. We don't have a pure, unfiltered connection to the world out there. Instead, we experience it through the most sophisticated and personal filter ever created: our own nervous system, our beliefs, our past experiences, and our thoughts. This is your subjective reality, the world as it appears to you. It's your personal internal movie based on the external events, and here's the secret. Your thoughts are the director, the screenwriter, and the lead actor all rolled into one. This is where the magic of being human truly lives. Two people can stand in the exact same objective reality. Let's say they both get laid off from the same job on the same day. The objective facts are identical, but their subjective realities could not be more different. For one person, this event is a catastrophe. Their thought, "My life is over, I'm a failure," paints their entire canvas a deep, terrifying black. They feel despair, their body slumps with defeat, and their reality becomes one of hopelessness. For the other person, the same event is framed as an opportunity. Their thought, "This is my chance to finally start my own business or find a job I truly love," paints the canvas with bright, bold colors of excitement and anticipation. They feel a surge of energy. Their posture straightens with purpose, and their reality becomes one of possibility. The external event was the same. The internal subjective reality was crafted entirely by the thought that interpreted it. This is the profound truth that philosophers and psychologists have been pointing to for centuries. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher, spent a great deal of his time writing about how our perceptions shape our world. He understood that what disturbs us is not the event itself, but our judgment about the event. And this isn't just ancient wisdom. It's a practical, neurological fact. Your brain is constantly taking in millions of bits of sensory information every second: sights, sounds, smells, tactile sensations. But your conscious mind can only process a tiny fraction of that data. So how does it decide what to pay attention to? It uses your existing thoughts and beliefs as a filter. Think of this filter as a pair of glasses that you're always wearing but you've forgotten they're on. If the lenses are tinted with the belief, "I am not good enough," then your brain, in its quest for efficiency, will actively seek out and amplify all the evidence that supports that belief. It will notice the one slightly critical comment in a sea of praise. It will magnify a small mistake you made and forget the 10 things you did perfectly. This is what some psychologists call your reality tunnel. You only see what the tunnel allows you to see, and you interpret everything through its lens. Your thoughts have built this tunnel, brick by brick, over the course of your life. Now you might be wondering, how does this painting actually get painted? What's the process? It happens through a powerful, self-perpetuating cycle. It almost always begins with a thought. Let's use a simple example. You're walking down the street and you see an acquaintance. You smile and wave, but they walk right past you without seeming to notice. Now, the objective reality is unknown. Maybe they were lost in thought. Maybe they need glasses, but your mind, which hates a vacuum, will immediately generate a thought to explain the event. Let's say the thought is, "They ignored me. They must be angry with me. What did I do wrong?" This thought, seemingly instantaneous, then triggers an emotion. The thought of being disliked or in trouble triggers feelings of anxiety, sadness, or maybe even shame. This isn't just in your mind, it's in your body. Your brain releases stress hormones like cortisol. Your heart might sink, your shoulders might tighten. You have just had a biochemical reaction to a thought. This emotional state then dictates your action. Feeling hurt and anxious, you might decide to avoid that person in the future. The next time you see them, you cross the street so you don't have to face another potential rejection. Your behavior has now changed based on that initial thought. And finally, this action leads to a result. By avoiding the person, you never get the chance to discover that they were simply distracted because they'd just received a worrying phone call. Your action of avoidance confirms your original thought. See? Your mind says, "They must be angry because you're avoiding each other now." The result solidifies the thought, making it a stronger, more entrenched belief. This is the cycle in action. Think, feel, act, result. And around it goes, painting your canvas with the same colors over and over, convincing you that this is the only picture possible. This is how our personality creates our personal reality. Your personality is essentially your consistent pattern of thinking, acting, and feeling. So, if you want to change your personal reality, if you want a brighter, more expansive, more joyful canvas, you have to become conscious of the artist's habits. You have to learn to choose different paints. This doesn't mean slapping a fake smile on your face and pretending everything is fine when it's not. That's like trying to paint a sunny sky over a storm with cheap, watery paint. The storm will always show through. This is about going deeper. It's about understanding that the thought, "they ignored me," is not a fact. It is one of many possible interpretations. A more balanced, perhaps even compassionate thought could be, "I wonder if they're okay? They seemed preoccupied." This new thought would trigger a different emotion, perhaps concern or neutrality. That emotion would lead to a different action. Maybe you'd send them a text later to say hello. And that action would lead to a different result, likely a pleasant conversation that strengthens your connection, reinforcing the new, more balanced thought. You have just used a new thought to paint a completely different scene on your canvas. This is the immense power we hold. We cannot always control the external, objective reality. We cannot control the weather, the economy, or other people's actions. But we can, with practice and patience, learn to steward our inner world. We can learn to observe our thoughts without being enslaved by them. We can question the automatic interpretations our mind offers up. We can, as the saying goes, clean our glasses. When we do that, the entire world looks different. Not because the world has changed, but because the lens through which we are viewing it has cleared. And this brings us to a crucial distinction, one that is often misunderstood. When we talk about thoughts influencing reality, we are not talking about a sort of magical thinking where you simply imagine a sports car and it materializes in your driveway. That would be a direct manipulation of objective reality. And while it's a fun idea for a movie, that's not how the principle we're discussing works. The real magic is far more profound and verifiable. It's the magic of your thoughts influencing your personal reality, your health, your resilience, your relationships, and your sense of peace, which in turn dramatically influences the actions you take in the objective world. Your thoughts may not magically summon a car, but the thought, "I am capable and deserving of a better job," can fuel the relentless action that eventually leads to you earning the money to buy that car. The thought is the seed. Action is the water and sunlight that makes it grow in the objective world. So, as we move forward, remember this image of the artist and the canvas. It is not a passive process. It is a dynamic, ongoing act of creation. Every thought is a brushstroke. Every belief is a chosen color palette. And you are the artist. You may have been painting on autopilot for years, using colors you inherited or learned in childhood, but the magnificent news is that the autopilot can be switched off. You can pick up a new brush. You can mix a new color. You can step back, look at the canvas of your life, and decide, from this moment forward, to create a masterpiece. The rain doesn't have to be gloomy. It can be nourishing. It can be cozy. The choice, in the world inside your mind, is always, always yours. And that is the most powerful reality of all. Now, we've been talking about the incredible power of our thoughts, how they paint the canvas of our reality, and how they can set us on cycles of success or cycles of struggle. It's an empowering idea, isn't it? It makes us feel like the captains of our own ships, the masters of our fate. But if we're not careful, this beautiful and powerful idea can be twisted into something heavy, something dark, something that feels a lot like blame. And this is where we must tread with immense compassion and clarity. Because the moment you truly grasp that your thoughts shape your world, a quiet, terrifying question can bubble up from the depths. Does this mean the bad things that happen to me are my fault? If a thought can create a reality of joy, did a thought also create a reality of pain? Did I, in some way, think my way into this illness? Did I attract that betrayal? Did my negative mindset cause the accident? Let me say this as clearly and as warmly as I can. No. 1,000 times, no. To believe that every single event in our lives is a direct result of our conscious thinking is not only a misunderstanding of this principle, but it is also a cruel and crushing burden to place on a human soul. It turns a tool for empowerment into a weapon of self-flagellation. Life is simply not that simple, and the universe does not operate like a vending machine where you insert a positive thought coin and get a perfect life candy bar in return. Think of it this way. We are all living our lives on a vast, unpredictable ocean. This ocean is objective reality. It has weather systems. Some are gentle breezes and calm seas, and others are sudden, violent storms that come out of nowhere. A pandemic is a storm. A natural disaster is a storm. A random act of violence, a genetic predisposition to a certain illness, the choices other people make that impact us. These are all storms on this great ocean. You did not create the storm. You did not attract the storm with your thoughts. The storm is a force of nature, a part of the complex, interconnected, and sometimes chaotic system of life on this planet. To suggest that a child with cancer somehow thought their way into that disease, or that a village wiped out by a tsunami was collectively thinking negative thoughts, is not just absurd, it is a profound and heartless insult to human suffering. So where does our power lie then? If we can't control the storms, what's the point of all this talk about thoughts? This is the most important distinction we will ever make. The power is not in controlling the storm. The power is in how we steer our ship through the storm. Your mind, your thoughts, your beliefs, they are not the weather. They are the helm of your ship. They are the rudder, the sails, the navigational charts. A captain with a well-built ship, excellent skills, and a calm, focused mind can navigate the fiercest hurricane and have a much better chance of survival. A captain in a leaky boat who panics and gives up is at the mercy of the waves. The hurricane is the same for both. The outcome is dramatically different. Let's make this painfully practical by using the same job analogy used before. Imagine two people who experience the exact same objective terrible event, a sudden unexpected job loss due to a company-wide layoff. This is the storm. Neither of them thought, "I want to be laid off." Neither of them attracted it through some secret negativity. It was an external economic decision, completely outside their individual control. Now let's meet their internal captains. The first person has a thought process that goes like this. This is a catastrophe. It's proof I was never good enough. The industry is doomed and I'll never find another job. I'm a failure. This is a captain who, upon seeing the storm, immediately throws the navigational charts overboard, breaks the rudder, and hides in the cabin, convinced all is lost. The thought, "I am a failure," leads to feelings of shame and despair. Those feelings lead to actions like staying in bed, avoiding updating their resume, and withdrawing from social contact. The result? A long, painful period of unemployment that, to them, perfectly confirms their original thought. See, I am a failure. Their thoughts didn't cause the layoff, but their response to the layoff created a prolonged and deeply painful personal reality. Now, the second person experiences the same gut punch, the same fear, the same initial shock. The storm is identical, but their internal dialogue, after processing the pain, shifts. It might sound like, "This is incredibly difficult and scary. I will allow myself to feel upset today." But it is not a reflection of my worth. It was a business decision. I have valuable skills. This is also an opportunity to reevaluate what I truly want to do with my career. This is a captain who, though terrified, grabs the helm. The thought, "This is hard, but I am capable," leads to feelings of determined resilience. Those feelings lead to actions like networking, taking a course to upgrade skills, and reaching out to friends for support. The result? They likely find a new, perhaps even better job much more quickly. Their thoughts didn't prevent the storm, but their response to the storm created a reality of growth and new possibility. This is the real, practical, and non-blaming application of the principle. Our thoughts do not cause all of our external circumstances, but our thoughts are the single most important factor in determining our experience of those circumstances and our response to them, which then shapes what happens next. This is why the concept of blame is so toxic here. Blame looks backward and seeks a guilty party. Responsibility, on the other hand, looks forward and asks, "What is my power now?" You are not to blame for the storm that hit your life, but you are responsible for steering your ship from this moment forward. Taking on that responsibility is not about admitting fault. It's about claiming your power. Imagine someone breaks your leg. You are not to blame for the break. That was the action of another or a tragic accident. But you are responsible for your healing. You are responsible for following the doctor's orders, for doing your physiotherapy, for resting properly. If you sit there and just scream, "It's not fair, why me?" your leg may not heal well, or it may heal stiff and weak. If you take responsibility for your recovery, even though you didn't cause the injury, your leg has a much better chance of healing strong. The break wasn't your fault. The healing is your responsibility. This is true for emotional and psychological wounds too. The deep-seated beliefs we often hold, the "I'm not good enough" narratives, usually weren't born in a vacuum. They were often painted onto our canvas in our earliest years by the words and actions of others, by childhood experiences we had no control over. You are not to blame for the initial brushstrokes. A child who is constantly criticized isn't to blame for developing a belief that they are inadequate. That was a survival mechanism, a logical conclusion from their limited world. But as an adult, you now have the ability to see that old, dusty painting and say, "I don't like this color, I'm going to paint over it." You are not blaming the child for what they felt. You are empowering the adult you are now to create something new. So, when we talk about thoughts influencing reality, we are talking about a philosophy of empowerment, not accusation. It is meant to free you, not imprison you. It's about moving from a question that leads to despair, "Whose fault is this?" to a question that leads to agency. What can I do with this now? How can I choose to see this? What is the next small step I can take? This understanding separates healthy psychology from toxic positivity. Toxic positivity would tell the person who was laid off, "Just think positive, don't be sad." It invalidates the very real and legitimate pain of the storm. True empowerment says, "This is sad, this is scary, it's okay to grieve." And within that grief, you still have a choice. You can choose the thought that you are defeated, or you can choose the thought that you are resilient. One thought led to a dark harbor. The other sets a course for a new shore. Your thoughts are the compass for your ship, not the wind that fills the sails of the world. You can't control the wind, but you can always adjust your sails. And that right there is where your true and unassailable power lies. Think of life as being divided into 3 buckets. First, there are the things we control. This includes our own thoughts, our efforts, our attitudes, and our behaviors. Then, there are things we influence. We can influence other people with our kindness or our anger, but we cannot control their final reaction. And finally, there are things over which we have no control. The weather, the global economy, other people's choices, these are in the 3rd bucket. Wasting energy and mental anguish on the 3rd bucket is a recipe for feeling like a helpless victim. True power and the true art of creating your reality comes from focusing relentlessly on the 1st bucket, strategically engaging with the 2nd, and gracefully accepting the 3rd. This is why, in times of great crisis, you can find 2 people side by side in the same terrible circumstance. One is crushed by it, seeing only loss and despair. The other, while undoubtedly in pain, finds a way to see opportunity, a chance to be resilient, or a new path they hadn't considered before. They are not denying the hardship, they are simply choosing a different thought about it, and in doing so, they are creating a different internal reality, one that allows them to survive and even thrive. So we've established the basic cycle. But how does a fleeting thought become a solid, seemingly unshakable belief that colors our entire world? This is where the incredible biology of our brain comes in, through a phenomenon known as neuroplasticity. So, we've arrived at a really pivotal question, haven't we? It's one thing to understand that a thought can trigger a feeling, and a feeling can trigger an action. But how does a thought, which is this ephemeral, invisible little spark, become something so solid, so entrenched, that it feels like an unchangeable truth about who we are? How does the whisper, "I'm not good at this," turn into the roaring background soundtrack of our lives? The answer to this doesn't just live in the realm of psychology or philosophy. It lives in the wet, wrinkled, 3-pound universe inside your skull. It's a story written in the language of biology, and it's one of the most hopeful stories science has ever told us. For the longest time, the prevailing scientific belief was that the adult brain was a finished product. You were pretty much stuck with what you had. The metaphor often used was of concrete. It gets poured in childhood, it sets during adolescence, and by adulthood, it's hardened and fixed. This was a profoundly disempowering idea. It suggested that if you had neural pathways of anxiety or depression or low self-esteem, that was just your lot in life. You were quite literally hardwired for struggle. But then, starting in the latter half of the 20th century and exploding into the 21st, a radical new understanding began to emerge from labs and brain imaging machines. Researchers discovered that the brain is not like concrete at all. It's much, much more like plastic, hence the term neuroplasticity. Plastic is malleable. It can be reshaped, remolded, and reformed. This discovery was a revolution. It meant that our brains are dynamic, living organs that are constantly reorganizing themselves in response to our experiences right up until our last breath. The brain you have today is not the same brain you had a year ago or even a month ago. It has physically changed based on what you've thought, felt, and done. Think of your brain not as a static machine, but as a vast, living, overgrown jungle. This jungle is teeming with life, and the life forms we're most interested in are your brain cells, your neurons. There are billions of them in there. Now, for you to have a thought, any thought at all, from "I need coffee" to "I am deeply loved," a specific group of these neurons has to light up and talk to each other. They do this by sending tiny electrical signals down their branches, like little pulses of lightning, from one neuron to the next. This is where the magic phrase comes in. A phrase coined by the Canadian psychologist Donald Hebb, often called the father of neuroplasticity: neurons that fire together, wire together. It's such a simple, almost musical sentence, but it contains the entire secret. What it means is that every single time a particular group of neurons activates at the same time, the connection between them gets a little bit stronger. It's like walking through a field of tall grass. The first time you take a particular route, it's a struggle. You have to push the grass aside, your feet get tangled. But if you walk that exact same path the next day, and the next, the grass gets trampled down, the earth gets packed firm, and soon you have a clear, easy-to-follow trail. In your brain, the walking is the thinking. The path is the neural pathway. Let's say you have a thought for the very first time. Public speaking is scary. A specific set of neurons, perhaps ones associated with fear, with self-consciousness, and with memories of past stumbles, all light up in a specific sequence. This is you hacking your way through the jungle for the first time, creating a faint new trail. Now, if you never have that thought again, the trail will quickly grow over. The connection will fade. But if you have that thought repeatedly, maybe you have to give a talk every month, and every month you spend the week before thinking, "I'm terrified, I'm going to mess up." You are walking that same path over and over and over. With each walk, the trail becomes clearer. The grass is gone. It's a dirt path. Then it's a gravel road. And eventually, after years of this, it becomes a 6-lane superhighway. This is the moment a fleeting thought solidifies into a core belief. The belief, public speaking is terrifying and I am bad at it, is no longer just an idea. It is a physical, well-traveled structure in your brain. It has become your brain's default route. Your brain, being the incredibly efficient organ that it is, loves defaults. It's always looking to save energy. So, when the situation public speaking arises, your brain doesn't bother looking for an alternative, overgrown path through the jungle. It immediately, automatically sends all its traffic down the superhighway of I'm terrified. The thought and the feeling become instantaneous, unconscious, and feel undeniably true. This is how we build the architecture of our own mind. Every repeated thought, every habitual worry, every comforting mantra is another pass down a neural trail, making it that much more dominant. This is how a child who is repeatedly told they are clumsy can grow into an adult with a deep-seated belief in their own physical awkwardness. The neural pathway has been paved with the repetition of that message until it becomes the automatic reality, and this is where it gets even more fascinating and perhaps a little frightening. This superhighway doesn't just make it easy to travel down that path. It actually changes how you see the entire world. It becomes a cognitive filter. Let's stick with our I'm not attractive belief, which is now a well-established neural superhighway. You walk into a social situation. Your brain is not a neutral, objective camera recording everything it sees. It is a search engine, and it has been primed to look for specific keywords. The belief I'm not attractive is the search query. So your brain actively scans the environment for data that confirms this belief. It's called confirmation bias. When 10 people give you genuine compliments, your brain's filter says, this data doesn't match my core search query. It must be noise. They're just being polite. They feel sorry for me. And it dismisses the data. But then one person glances in your direction with a neutral, maybe even slightly distracted expression. Your brain's search engine lights up. Aha! Here it is. Evidence. That look of disinterest, that slight frown, that is the truth. That confirms my belief. You have literally, neurologically, made it harder for yourself to see the positive evidence. The neural pathways for perceiving compliments have become overgrown from lack of use, while the pathways for perceiving rejection are wide and brightly lit. This is why two people can be in the same room and live in two completely different realities. They are not lying, they are genuinely experiencing a different world, filtered through the unique neural landscapes of their brains. This is also the biological reason why change can feel so incredibly physically difficult. When you decide you want to change a belief, say from I'm not attractive to I am worthy of love and connection, you are not just making a decision. You are asking your brain to do something monumental. You are asking it to abandon a smooth, efficient, familiar superhighway and to start hacking a brand new trail through dense, virgin jungle. The first time you try to think, I am worthy, it feels fake. It feels weak. That's because it is. The new neural path is just a faint whisper, a few bent blades of grass. Meanwhile, the old superhighway is right there, beckoning, its familiar signs flashing. This way to misery, it's easy and it feels true. The discomfort, the resistance, the feeling that you're faking it, that is not a sign that you're doing it wrong. It is the necessary friction of carving a new path in your mind. It is the feeling of neuroplasticity in action. And here is the magnificent, glorious, hope-filled news. It is entirely possible. Every single time you consciously choose the new thought, I am worthy, you are taking a machete and making one more swing, clearing one more foot of that new trail. You are causing the neurons for that new positive belief to fire together, and with enough repetition, they will begin to wire together. This isn't mystical, it's mechanical. It's the diligent work of gardening your own mind. You are pulling out the weeds of old negative thought patterns by refusing to water them with your attention, and you are planting new seeds of empowering beliefs and watering them daily with your focused repetition. It takes time. The superhighway won't disappear overnight. But the more you use the new path, the more the old one will start to fade, becoming less and less the default. One day you'll be in a social situation and someone will give you a compliment, and without even thinking, your brain will travel down the new, well-worn path of, thank you, I appreciate that, and you will genuinely feel it. The old highway will be there, grown over with weeds, a relic of a past you no longer inhabit. This is also why changing our minds can feel so physically difficult. You're not just deciding to think differently. You are asking your brain to abandon a well-paved superhighway and start hacking a new trail through the undergrowth. It takes conscious, repeated effort. But the magnificent news is that it is entirely possible. This is the practical application of neuroplasticity. We can rewire our brains. We can, through deliberate practice, build new neural pathways that serve us better. This is our birthright. This is the promise of neuroplasticity. We are not prisoners of our past or our genetics. We are the gardeners of our own brains, with the daily, moment-to-moment power to shape our inner landscape, and in doing so, to fundamentally alter the reality we experience. The tool is conscious, repeated thought, and the only thing required to begin is a single, deliberate step onto a new path. So we've seen how a thought can become a belief, and how a belief can color our perception of the world. It's like we've been exploring the software of our own minds. But what if I told you that this software doesn't just run on the hardware of your brain? What if it sends commands that reach into every corner of your physical being, right down to the cells dancing in your blood and the enzymes digesting your food? This is where the implications become truly staggering. This is where the abstract world of your thoughts meets the tangible, physical reality of your body in a conversation that never stops. And the most powerful, elegant, and scientifically robust proof of this conversation is a phenomenon that, for years, was medicine's most embarrassing secret: the placebo effect. For generations, in the hallowed halls of medical science, the placebo effect was treated like an uninvited guest at a party. It was a nuisance, a confounding variable, something to be brushed aside and controlled for. In drug trials, you'd have one group get the real pill, and another, the control group, get a sugar pill, a placebo. The hope was that the placebo group would show no change, proving that any improvement in the real pill group was due to the drug's chemistry alone. But a funny thing kept happening. A significant number of people in the placebo group would also get better. They'd report less pain, their depression would lift, their digestion would settle. Scientists would often shrug and say, "It's all in their heads," and dismiss it. What they failed to see for so long was the breathtaking truth hidden in that very phrase. It's all in their heads. But what's in our heads doesn't stay there. It travels throughout our entire body, issuing biological commands. The placebo effect is not about faking wellness. It is about the mind's authentic, measurable power to initiate real physiological healing. Let's take that classic pain study. A patient is given a sugar pill but is authoritatively told by a doctor in a white coat that it is a powerful, new, fast-acting painkiller. The patient believes this. The thought, "This pill is going to relieve my pain," is not a passive wish. It is an active instruction. The brain, receiving this instruction from its own higher centers, responds by triggering the release of the body's own internal pharmacy. It produces endorphins, natural, opiate-like chemicals that are literally the body's built-in painkillers. It's a biochemical event. The reduction in pain is real and measurable on brain scans. The thought, "I will feel less pain," directly authored the biological reality of "I am releasing natural painkillers." The sugar pill was just the prop. The belief was the true active ingredient. This is where the work of researchers like Stanford's Dr. Alia Crum becomes so revolutionary. She and her team have taken this understanding out of the clinic and into the messy, everyday reality of our lives, with results that border on the magical. In one now famous study, they invited participants to drink a milkshake. Now, these milkshakes were all identical, but the labels were different. One group was told they were drinking a decadent, indulgent, high-calorie indulgence shake. The other group was told they were drinking a sensible, sensy shake, low in calories and guilt. Then, the researchers measured the levels of a hormone called ghrelin in the participants' blood. Ghrelin is often called the hunger hormone. When its levels are high, you feel hungry. When your body has received enough food, ghrelin levels should plummet, signaling to your brain that you're full and satisfied. What happened? The results were mind-bending. In the group that believed they drank the indulgent, high-calorie shake, ghrelin levels dropped dramatically and appropriately. Their bodies responded as if they had consumed a large, satisfying meal. But in the group that drank the exact same milkshake while believing it was the light, diet shake, the ghrelin levels barely budged. Their bodies were essentially saying, "Is that all? I'm still hungry." Their belief about what they consumed didn't just change their subjective feeling of fullness, It literally changed their body's objective, hormonal response to the food. The thought, "This is a rich milkshake," triggered a satiety signal. The thought, "This is a diet shake," withheld it. This isn't a psychological trick. It's a metabolic reality. Dr. Crum took this even further in her research on exercise. She studied a large group of women, all with largely sedentary jobs. But she didn't just measure their actual physical activity. She asked them a crucial question: do you believe you get a good amount of exercise in your daily life? Then she tracked their health over time. The findings were astonishing. The women who believed they were getting good exercise, regardless of how much they were actually getting, lived longer, healthier lives. Their mindset about their own activity level was as powerful a predictor of their health as the activity itself. As Dr. Crum so perfectly states, this shows that mindsets are not peripheral but central to health and behavior. Your body is listening to the story you tell yourself about your health, and it is obeying the plot. Now you might be asking, how on earth is this possible? How does a wispy thought tell my stomach hormones what to do? This is where we move from the phenomenon to the mechanism into the fascinating field of psychoneuroimmunology. It's a big, clunky word, but it simply means the study, ology, of how the mind, psyche, the nervous system, neuro, and the immune system, immuno, all talk to each other. They are not separate, siloed departments in the body. They are one, deeply integrated, constantly chatting community. Think of your brain as the central command station. When you have a thought, especially a charged, belief-driven thought like, "I am safe and healing," or "this is a catastrophe," your command station doesn't just file it away. It broadcasts that message throughout the entire system via two main networks, your nervous system and your hormones. It's like sending out a company-wide email and also making an announcement over the loudspeaker. If the thought is stressful and negative, "I can't handle this pain," the command station goes into alarm mode. It activates the sympathetic nervous system, the famous fight or flight response. It sends signals to your adrenal glands to pump out cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones are great for short-term emergencies. They sharpen your focus, increase your heart rate, and divert energy away from long-term projects. And what are the body's long-term projects? Things like digestion, tissue repair, and immune system patrols. So, when you're chronically stressed by negative thought patterns, you are essentially telling your body, stop the repairs, stop digesting properly, stop fighting off germs efficiently. We have an eternal emergency. This is why chronic stress is linked to a weakened immune response, slower wound healing, and digestive issues. But the flip side is also true. When you have a positive, hopeful, believing thought, "This treatment is working, my body is strong, I am getting better," the command station sends a different set of signals. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest response. It tells the body it's safe to invest in long-term projects. Hormones like oxytocin and growth hormone are encouraged. Blood flow is directed back to the digestive and repair systems. The immune system gets the all clear to be more vigilant and active. Your belief in healing creates a physiological environment that is actually conducive to healing. This brings us to the crucial work of experts like Dr. Beth Darnall, who applies these principles to the complex world of chronic pain. She has found that a person's mindset about their pain is not a minor side note. It is a major determinant of their suffering. She identifies a pattern called pain catastrophizing. This is when someone doesn't just feel pain, they ruminate on it. Their thought process is a cascade of terror. This pain is unbearable and it's never going to end. It's going to ruin my life. I am completely helpless. This catastrophic thinking is like pouring gasoline on a fire. The brain, receiving these panic signals, amplifies the pain processing. It turns up the volume on the pain signals themselves, making them feel more intense. It's not that the initial injury is worse, it's that the brain's amplification system is set to maximum because of the thoughts. Unsurprisingly, people who catastrophize often experience more intense pain, require higher doses of medication, and have longer recovery times. But Dr. Darnall's work shows the way out. By teaching people to shift their mindset, From "this pain is a catastrophe" to "this is a sensation I can manage," or "this is a signal my body is sending and I am learning to listen to it." She helps them turn down the amplifier. This doesn't mean the pain signal vanishes. It means the suffering, the brain's terrified, amplified response to the signal, is dramatically reduced. Patients using these techniques often require less medication, experience less intense pain, and report a vastly improved quality of life. Their thought about the pain changed their reality of the pain. So, what does this all mean for you and me right now? It means that the conversation between your thoughts and your body is the most important health dialogue you will ever have. It means that cultivating a mindset of hope, agency, and belief in your own resilience isn't just positive thinking. It is a practical, physiological strategy for well-being. You are not a passive passenger in your body. You are the one whispering or sometimes shouting instructions to every cell within you. The placebo effect isn't a trick, it's a trailhead. It points the way to our innate, often untapped capacity for self-healing, guided by the most powerful medicine we possess. The beliefs we choose to hold, and the thoughts we choose to think, moment by precious moment. So here we are, we've got the map. We understand the terrain. We know about the think-feel-act cycle, that relentless engine of our daily experience. We've marveled at neuroplasticity, the biological miracle that means our brain is always a work in progress, not a finished statue. And we've been stunned by the placebo effect, the profound proof that our beliefs can literally instruct our biology. This is all wonderful, empowering knowledge. But knowledge without application is like owning a library of how-to books but never picking up a tool. It can make for interesting conversation, but it doesn't build anything. To truly harness this power, we have to move from the grandstands of understanding into the workshop of practice. We have to pick up the tools and get to work on the most important project you'll ever undertake. You. The question is no longer if our thoughts influence our reality, but how we can consciously and deliberately guide that process. How do we stop being passive passengers on a bus driven by an autopilot we never agreed to, and instead slide into the driver's seat, take hold of the wheel, and decide on the destination ourselves? This shift from passenger to driver is the essence of personal transformation, and it begins with the single most important skill you will ever cultivate: awareness. Think of your mind as a vast, bustling airport. Thoughts are like planes, constantly taking off and landing, 60,000 or more a day. For most of our lives, we are so identified with the planes, with the individual thoughts, that we feel we are the plane. If a thought of anxiety takes off, we are hurtled into the sky of panic. If a thought of anger lands, we are firmly on the ground of resentment. We are at the mercy of the air traffic. The practice of awareness, what psychologists call metacognition, the ability to think about your own thinking, is the act of building the control tower. It's the you that can step back and simply observe all the coming and going without getting on every single flight. This is the foundational skill because, as the old saying goes, you cannot change what you are not aware of. You can't fix a leaky pipe in a hidden wall. You have to first find the leak. Most of our destructive or limiting thought patterns are so habitual, so automated, that they run in the background like a computer program, draining our battery without us even knowing it. The first step is to notice the program is running. How do we build this control tower? It starts with a simple yet revolutionary act: pausing. Throughout your day, especially when you feel a strong disruptive emotion, a surge of anxiety before a meeting, a flash of anger in traffic, a wave of sadness in the afternoon, use that emotion as a flare gun. It's a signal that a very powerful thought plane has just landed on your runway. Instead of being immediately hijacked by the feeling, snapping at the kids, spiraling into worry, reaching for a distracting snack, you take one conscious breath. You create a tiny space, and in that space, you ask the most powerful question in the world. What is going on in my mind right now? What thought is causing me to feel this way? Let's make this incredibly practical. You're at work and you find yourself feeling irritable and snappish. The old autopilot response is to just be irritable, to let it color your interactions, perhaps making a sharp comment to a colleague. But now, You pause. You notice the irritation. You feel it in your body, a tightness in the jaw, a clenching in the stomach, and you gently ask, "What thought is here?" After a moment of looking, you might find it, "I'm never going to finish this project on time," or "My boss doesn't appreciate all this hard work I'm doing." There it is, the thought plane, just the simple act of identifying it. Ah, there is the thought, "I'm never going to finish," is a moment of profound power. In that moment, you are no longer being the irritable thought. You are observing the irritable thought. You are in the control tower, watching the plane. It hasn't vanished, but it has lost its ability to kidnap you. A powerful exercise to turbocharge this awareness is to become a journalist of your own mind. For just 48 hours, carry a small notebook or use a notes app on your phone and make it your mission to jot down as many of your thoughts as you can catch. Don't judge them. Don't analyze whether they're good or bad, true or false. Just be a curious reporter. Thought, "I'm going to be late." Thought, "That person doesn't like me." Thought, "I'm so bad at remembering names." Thought, "What if the presentation is a disaster?" After a day or two of this, you will start to see patterns emerge. You'll see the same phrases, the same themes, looping over and over. You might discover your personal greatest hits album of anxiety, which includes tracks like "I'm not good enough," "I'm going to fail," and "People are judging me." Seeing these thoughts written down in black and white is a revelation. It externalizes them. It takes them out of the nebulous, unquestioned realm of "just the way I am" and puts them on the page where you can look at them objectively. You begin to see these are not immutable truths. They are just thoughts. They are the well-worn superhighways your brain has been defaulting to out of sheer habit. And seeing the habit is the first step to changing it. Once you've become skilled at spotting these thought planes from the control tower, the next step is to not just let them sit on the tarmac. You have to send out a mechanic to check them for airworthiness. This is the step of challenging the thought. Your brain, magnificent as it is, comes with a factory setting that is biased toward survival, which often means it's biased toward looking for threats, problems, and reasons why things might go wrong. This negativity bias was a fantastic feature for our ancestors on the savannah. The one who assumed every rustle in the grass was a predator lived to pass on their genes. But in the modern world, where the rustles are emails and social obligations, this same bias can create a reality of constant, low-grade threat. You have to consciously train your brain to be a detective for possibility, not just for peril. When a negative autopilot thought arises like, "I'm not qualified for that promotion," you don't just accept it as the final verdict. You take it to court. You become a gentle but firm cross-examiner. You ask it questions. First, you ask, "Is this thought 100% true?" This alone is powerful. Is it 100% unequivocally, undeniably true that you are not qualified? Or is it a feeling and interpretation? Usually you'll find it's not a fact, but an opinion your fear is offering. Then you ask, what is the evidence against this thought? This is where you build your case for the defense. You actively search your memory and your current reality for data that contradicts the negative thought. Well, you might say, I have 5 years of experience in this field. I successfully led a similar project last quarter that was well received. My last performance review highlighted my problem-solving skills. I have taken 2 professional development courses that are relevant. You are forcing your brain to look at the evidence it has been filtering out. Finally, you ask, what is a more balanced or helpful way to look at this? This isn't about slapping a cheesy, unrealistic positive thought on top of a negative one. That's like putting a happy birthday banner on a burning building. It's about finding a perspective that is both realistic and empowering. So instead of "I'm not qualified," the new balanced thought might be, there are some aspects of this job I will need to learn quickly, but I have a strong foundation of relevant skills and a proven track record of being a fast learner. I am a strong candidate. This thought is believable. Your brain won't immediately reject it as a lie, which is crucial. This process of challenging is like taking a weed whacker to those overgrown neural pathways. You're not yet planting a new garden, but you're clearing the space for one. And that is exactly what the next step is: reprogramming. After you've challenged and weakened the old, limiting thought, you must consciously plant and nurture a new, more empowering one. This is where many people misunderstand the concept of affirmations. They think it's about standing in front of a mirror and repeating, "I am a millionaire and I am wildly successful," when you're currently broke and feeling like a failure. Your brain, quite rightly, will rebel. "That is a lie," it will shout, and the new thought will have no power. The key is to make the new thought a bridge from where you are to where you want to be. It has to be a statement your brain can accept as plausible. If the old thought is "I'm terrible at sales," jumping to "I'm the best salesperson in the world" is too big a leap. The bridge thought is something like, "I am improving my sales skills with every conversation," or "I am learning to connect with customers effectively." These are progressive, believable statements. They are based on the process, not a distant outcome. Then, you repeat this new thought. You write it down. You say it to yourself in the morning while you're brushing your teeth and at night before you fall asleep. You put it on a sticky note on your computer monitor. This repetition is not empty chanting. It is the biological process of neuroplasticity in action. Every single time you repeat that new, balanced thought, you are taking a walk down a new path in the jungle of your mind. The first time, it's a struggle. The 10th time, it's a bit easier. The 100th time, it's a clear trail. The 1,000th time, it's starting to become a default route. You are physically, through the focus of your attention, carving a new neural pathway. You are the gardener, patiently watering the new seed. Another profoundly powerful tool for this reprogramming is visualization. Your brain is an incredible simulation machine. It's not very good at distinguishing between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. This is why you can watch a scary movie and your heart pounds as if you were actually being chased by a monster. It's also why you can get a knot in your stomach thinking about a difficult conversation that's still a week away. Your brain and body are reacting to the simulated reality. But you can flip this around and use it as a rehearsal studio for success. Athletes have known this for decades. A skier will mentally rehearse their run down the mountain dozens of times before they ever push off from the gate. They feel the wind on their face. They see the gates whipping past. They feel the muscles in their legs making micro-adjustments. This mental rehearsal activates the same neural networks that are used during the physical performance, strengthening them almost as effectively as real practice. You can do the same for any scenario in your life. If you want to be more confident and articulate in meetings, don't just hope for the best. Spend 5 minutes each day in a quiet space, closing your eyes and vividly visualizing the upcoming meeting. See yourself walking in calmly. Feel the chair beneath you. See the faces of your colleagues. Hear your own voice, calm and clear, making a valuable point. Feel the feeling of confidence and ease in your body. Imagine people nodding in agreement. You are not just daydreaming. You are pre-programming your brain's hardware for that very experience. You are building the neural pathways for confidence so that when you walk into the real meeting, your brain has a familiar, well-lit path to follow. All of this, the awareness, the challenging, the reprogramming, the visualization, is essential work. But it remains in the realm of the mind until we take the final, non-negotiable step: action. Thoughts alone are not enough. You must take actions that are consistent with the new reality you want to create. Action is the bridge that connects your inner world of thought to the outer world of tangible results. If your new thought is "I am a writer," but you never actually sit down to write, the thought remains a fantasy. It's the action of writing day after day that provides the proof to yourself and to the world that you are, in fact, a writer. If your new thought is "I am a healthy, active person," but you continue to spend every evening on the couch, the thought has no power. It is the action of putting on your shoes and going for a walk, of choosing a salad over a greasy burger, that solidifies the new identity. This is where the cycle completes itself in a powerful upward spiral. You have a new thought. "I'm capable of handling this challenge." This thought leads to a feeling of quiet confidence. That feeling leads to the action of tackling the challenge head-on, and the action leads to a result. Perhaps you succeed, or perhaps you learn something valuable. That positive result then feeds back and reinforces the new thought. See, I am capable. The think, feel, act cycle, which once trapped you in a downward spiral, is now propelling you upward. You are gathering evidence for your new belief with every action you take. This entire process, awareness, challenge, reprogramming, visualization, and action, is the practical engine of what Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck famously identified as a growth mindset. A fixed mindset believes that your qualities, your intelligence, your talents, your personality are carved in stone. You either have them or you don't. This leads to a fear of failure because failure is a permanent verdict on your limited abilities. But a growth mindset believes that your abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. Failure is not a verdict. It's a data point, a learning opportunity. This entire practice we've been outlining is the lived experience of a growth mindset. It is the belief that you are not a fixed entity, but a work in progress, and that you have a hand in your own creation. The power of this extends beyond individual achievement to our most fundamental human need, belonging. Researchers have found that when students, especially those from groups that often feel like outsiders, are taught that struggles with belonging are normal and temporary, that it's not a fixed verdict on their social worth, their entire experience changes. A simple 1-hour session that changed their narrative from, "I don't belong here," to "everyone feels this way at first and it gets better," led to measurable improvements in their grades and their health over their entire college career. Their reality was transformed not by changing the university, but by changing their thought about their place within it. This is the ultimate takeaway. You are not a prisoner of your past or your biology. You are the gardener of your mind with a set of tools, awareness, curiosity, repetition, and courageous action that allow you to tend to your inner landscape. It is a daily practice, not a one-time fix. Some days you'll forget your tools and the weeds will grow back, but other days you will remember and you will see the first green shoots of a new, beautiful belief breaking through the soil. And in those moments you will know, with every fiber of your being, that you are indeed the conscious architect of your reality, building it one thought, one feeling, and one action at a time. So can our thoughts influence reality? The evidence from psychology, neuroscience, and biology shouts a resounding yes. Our thoughts are not ephemeral ghosts in the machine. They are real physical processes in the brain that trigger cascades of emotional, behavioral, and biological consequences. They create the lens through which we see the world, and they directly impact our health, our performance, and our relationships. We create our reality by how we choose to interpret the uncontrollable events of life. We create our reality by the thoughts we repeatedly think, which form the beliefs that filter our perceptions. We create our reality by the actions we take, which are born from our thoughts and feelings. This is the real magic. It's not about manifesting objects out of thin air. It's about the far greater power of manifesting a life of resilience, purpose, and joy from the raw material of your own mind. The magic wand you wished for as a child was never in a box under the Christmas tree. As one blogger beautifully realized after her own disillusionment with a toy wand, the magic is not in the wand, but rather in the thoughts of the one holding it. You are the holder of that wand. Every single thought is a spell you are casting upon your world. So, choose your thoughts with care. Forge new pathways in your brain. Believe in your capacity to grow and to heal. And then, take the actions that will turn your inner world into your outer existence. This is how you influence reality. This is how you build a life not by chance, but by design. The power was always within you. It's time to use it. Good night. Have a deep, calm sleep, my friends.